Welcome to this project then. So what we've got is a SketchUp model of my house and gardens. So as you can see, we've got a very small little house, semi-detached in the UK here. And we've got a small front garden and a driveway, and we've got a small back garden, even smaller back garden. The advantages, or some of the things that are good about it, is the fact that we've got a walled garden, and so we've got this wall that's about 6 foot high. Behind the wall we have, behind this space here, quite nice, we've got a garden that's almost an orchard with some trees in it, that's run by a local business that's situated over here in a historic sort of old house. So we've got no overlooking property. We've got our neighbours here. What I've done is I've actually drawn in our neighbour's garage, which is just adjoining our property there, and that's the height of the garage. And the neighbour has 2 garages, so that forms a boundary wall. As you can see, nothing's square on this plot, so we're dealing with quite odd angles. Now what I want to do is to get rid of this garage, or to replace this garage, leaky roof, flat roof, and also to build an extension of the garage on the back here, which takes a bit more of this away, which seems a bit shocking considering it's so small already, but we want just an open we want an outdoor room really here. Small is beautiful, enough space to sit out. Now the orientation of the property is that this is west, this is north, this is east, and this is south. So we're semi-detached. I haven't bothered drawing the neighbour's property, so we don't have any south-facing windows or anything. But in the morning we have sun in the front from the east, and in the evening we have sun in the back from the west. We never get full sun on this aspect. This is the northern aspect. Now we have some constraints because of this big window that's over the staircase. That's the highest we can go in terms of the roof of the garage. And I had thought about building a sort of an apex roof here going back, but because of the narrowing, the fact that it's not square, then that became quite a challenge to get the pitches of the roof right. So what I've decided to do is go with a flat roof design, but the problem with that, and we'll measure it, is the fact that, let's just imagine that we've got so we're on 8 feet high, and then you've got to take at least probably nearly a foot off that, or certainly 8 inches off that. So you end up with 7 feet, something like that, of usable headspace, which is not really much. I mean, I'm 6 foot 1, so it doesn't give you much space above your head, and it feels really cramped. So that's a limitation. So what I've decided to do is to build the flat roof, but then put a roof light here, so I get a big roof light, so I get some space under the roof light, which gives me higher head height. This wall is exactly as built, so I don't know why, but there's a single brick coarse wall that comes from the house and then has this pillar on it. So I'm not really sure why that is. This is a single brick wall as well, and this garage is single brick wall thick as well, so not very structurally sound. This is a fence, and that is a fence as well. We've got a nice solid double brick wall on the front of the property there, and then a fence there. Okay, so I measured this all out in SketchUp, and then what I've done is I've actually played with a few alternatives and rebuilt it in SketchUp to sort of, obviously I wasn't trying to go for perfect, because it's 80-20 rule, it's easy to get 80% of the way there and difficult to get 100% of the way there. But what I've done is just proved the concept to myself in SketchUp of what I want to achieve. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a brick wall, double thickness solid brick wall here, with a double door entry, which is going to be roughly 6 foot, just under 6 foot wide. So what we've got is 2 stable doors we're going to have there, and a lintel over, and a thick double brick wall with no insulation in it, on a foundation, and that closes this whole gap here. The existing wall is going to come down a little bit. We're going to build this wall to be 2180, so about 8 foot high, 7-8 foot high. And the existing wall will come down to that height to give an extra bit of support, especially on this beam here. So we're going to have a triple beam of, I don't know quite what that ended up being. Let me just measure it. Yeah, 175. So a triple beam of 175 millimeters, and that will support the roof light. And then we'll have another triple beam of 2.2 on this side, which doesn't have the benefit of the support halfway through, not halfway, but a third of the way along the length. So I think this will be as strong as this ultimately. So that's the idea. They'll all land on this double brick wall here, and they're also landing on this brick wall here, and they're landing on the single skin brick wall on the other side. So hopefully that will suffice in terms of keeping this glass roof light up. So that's the project really. Now what I've got is a sloping roof, so the roof is gradually sloping down towards the front of the property. So the fall goes that way, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a gutter going along the front here and down here. So that will take all drainage water. I want these doors to be at ground level rather than a step in, and so I'm going to have a drainage channel all the way along the front here, and there's going to be a drain pipe that comes down here, and there's going to be a gully along this bit with lead lined against the wall, so that there's a bit of a drop into a gully from this way down, and there's some drainage down that way. There's going to be actually a board go across here, which will mean that although there is a drop from here to here, it doesn't appear to be, because this will be horizontal, so effectively there'll be a barrier to any water coming off this edge until it gets to this point where there'll be a collecting, there'll be a collector here and then a pipe down to a drain there. The other thing that this space here is going to be, I'm going to retain this wall and this parapet, and then basically we're going to put a toilet in here, so there's an outside loo, and a little hand basin, and also the boiler, which is currently inside the kitchen here on this wall. We're going to put on this wall, so it won't be that much pipe work to knock the pipe work through to put it on this wall, and it will vent out of this wall here, so that we can make use of the space inside the kitchen and not have a boiler in there. That's the plan. It involves building this wall up beyond where it was, if you sort of remember. So the wall never gets higher than it was, but this carries on now across and down. So this is where the actual new wall will be, along here and down there. So this is never over 2.5 meters, and so when we've got permission from our neighbour here and our neighbour here, and I've put in I've got a planning application agreed for a garage and extension, and actually a carport, which I'm probably not going to build. Okay, so in terms of details around the actual building work, so permitted development limits you to a height of 2.5 meters, and I don't want to go over that anyway. And we've got that constraint with the windows, so we can't go over about 2.3, 2.2, and I've worked out from various design brochures, etc., that it's best for a flat roof to have a fall of 1 in 45%, and so on the highest point, the roof point will be 2.39 meters, and then it will fall down to under the windowsill and then to the front of the garage. Okay, so the wall coping on the new wall that we're building along the west aspect is going to look a little like this. So I've got this detail here. We're going to have a coping stone, so we're going to have to knock some of the bricks out, take the existing vegetation out of the brickwork, rebuild that up with matching brick, and then I'm going to try and put this detail on here, and this is how the flashing should work to the actual from the brick wall to the actual flat roof. And again, under the windowsill, I'm going to angle grind. I'm not replacing the window. The window's relatively recently been replaced, so I'm going to cut under the window there and just stuff some flashing in and try and do this sort of methodology. I am going to put some insulation on the flat roof, but only a small amount because it's only a workspace, it's not a living space, and I do want to stop condensation, so I want to keep the temperature in there reasonably warm. I'll probably be keeping it warm with, heated blankets maybe over the motorbike or something like that, something that just generates a very small amount of heat. And we've got a little bit of insulation on the roof and on the doors and on the floor, so that we can keep that relatively cheaply. We can keep the temperature above the dew point. So this is the design of the roof light that I'm aiming for. And so this is the detail of how we build the upstand and how high it has to be. And this is the warm roof detail. So basically we're going to have a waterproofing layer, some insulation, a vapor control layer, and then the decking itself. And then we're going to have these furrings that allow us to gradually make the roof fall. And then we've got the beams themselves. And we're going to reuse the existing beams for most of it, and then add new beams as we need to, as we build it along the extension. The gutter detail, I've got that planned out along the front of the garage, and the edge trim along the side of, remember I said that we're going to have an edge which is completely horizontal, so that any fall in the roof isn't visible. And this is the gully detail that I want to build, so that we've got runoff into a gutter. And that's the hopper detail that I'm going to build. So I've thought about that. So in terms of foundations, so I think 750mm is probably adequate for where we are, but I think 900mm is better. So we're going to go concrete, 900mm, and then we're going to put some blocks in and then brick on top of the blocks. So for a 9-inch wall, X is 88 millimeters. So so that works fine. So that's how wide we need to dig our trench, and then slightly sloping outwards. And we're going to put our pads down, and then we're going to put some concrete blocks on until we get to ground level, and then bricks above that. I'm hoping that any runoff, any water on here is not going to hit this wall bouncing off or run it water pooled. There won't be any water pooled here to get into the brickwork at this point. That's what I'm hoping. We're going to use this special thinnest insulation. It's expensive, but because we're only using a small amount of it, and it shouldn't be too prohibitive. Looking at the door seals, I'm looking at things like this to seal the doors, which give us nearly 2 inches, 1.5 inches, 1 inch and a bit, and then building up from there on this side. So basically this will be the ramp section in, and instead of dropping back down, we'll actually have insulation and boarding on top of the concrete that exists. These are the doors that we're going to have. Not quite. This is obviously a posh set, but I found a cheap set of doors that I'm going to modify to make into a square. Yeah, so I think in building the brick wall, I think it'd probably be advisable or advantageous to actually have this frame in situ. Won't have a floor to the frame, just 3 sides, all square, so that we know what we're building up to, both sides. So I'm going to buy these doors, build the frame round, and then take the doors away so the frame can stay there, all with a bracing, diagonal bracing, so that we can build up to it, and then we can drill into it, into the brick wall as we go, and it will help us keep everything level and everything like that. And I want some sort of a sill, and the drainage channel here. That's the base door sill and the drainage channel, and the finished floor there. So my idea had been to get this sort of like sill like so. I'm just trying to source a concrete sill, which would be perfect for this job, and then we'll have a damp proof course under the sill. So what we're going to plan to do is English garden wall bond, which is basically you have I think they're called stretchers, these sideways bricks. So you have 3 or 4 rows of stretchers, and then a row of headers, which are these, and then you have 3 or 4 rows of stretchers and then a row of headers. So I think that's the way we're going to build the wall, English garden wall bond. Now I've tried to work this out, so I think it's 5 bricks per course per side, so that's 10 bricks, and there's 29 courses to do A, which is 290 bricks. And then on B side, there's 6.5 bricks per course times 2, which is 13 bricks per course, which is 377 bricks. But I don't want to be completely stingy with it, so probably be buying 800 bricks so that we've got enough bricks and we can throw away the odd one. Obviously, we want old bricks or vintage bricks. Makes it harder to lay, but they're going to be more in keeping with the property. So on this wall that needs to be built up, the garden wall that's existing that needs to be built up, working on the principle that we're going to need to build the C section, which is the bit that's missing, is 14 bricks per course, which is 28, which is 9 courses. Take away A and B, you end up with 186 bricks required for this section here, and they'll be slightly different bricks because they're more of a red brick, whereas we want more of a yellowy brick on the other side, more London brick on the other side. So that's it. That's the project. So this all should have started in April, and indeed I did start digging in April, the foundations, but then I broke my collarbone, and everything's ground to a halt. So here we are at the end of July. We're going to be starting this project for real in August. The skip will arrive probably in a week's time, and I'm going to be starting to dig the foundations, and I'm going to follow along on this my adventures. See how we go. Thanks for watching.